Relationship advice. Update. My 22 female, twin, 22 female, has slept or tried to sleep with every one of my boyfriends. Don't want her to meet my current boyfriend, 23 male, of 8 months. Original post. This has happened with every single guy I've dated or been interested in. I've only had 3 relationships before my current one with John. My twin sister Sarah has tried to interfere with all of them. 2 of my exes cheated on me with her. The third, we broke up for other reasons, but Sarah still tried to seduce him. He was a good guy and always had boundaries with her, but that didn't stop her from trying. To the point of sending him nudes multiple times, then claiming, "Oops, wrong person," when he told her he wasn't interested. When that didn't work, she also tried to break us up by lying to my ex and our mutual friends that I was cheating. My ex didn't believe her, but some friends did. So yeah, that was fun to deal with. Then, when we were kids, like in middle/high school, if Sarah found out I had a crush, she went after the guy herself. I used to tell her those things, because well, isn't that what sisters do? She always used it against me. I told her I was working up the courage to ask my crush/the guy I was talking to prom. She then asked him and he said yes. She said he'd just been using me to get to her. Another time, a few years before that, she announced to everyone in a class we shared that I liked this one boy who got bullied a lot. Kids then started teasing him even more, and he hated me. I felt horrible for months. She thought it was the funniest thing ever. She also once told a teacher whose class I was doing bad in, that I was into him and willing to do favors for better grades. That got reported, and I had to go through this whole counseling thing before it was finally cleared up. It was extremely embarrassing. My sister just blew it off as a prank. There are so many other situations like this. She either gets guys who are interested in me to sleep with her, or ruin my chances with them by making up nonsense to make me look bad. She's ruined some of my friendships lying about me too, told my best friend in high school I was gossiping meanly about her, and went so far as faking text messages. I don't know if she even actually wants these people for herself. You might think it's obviously jealousy, but sometimes I honestly think she just gets a kick out of messing with me. Anyway, I've finally got my life more together after wasting the first couple years of college on being depressed and a gaming addiction. I met my boyfriend John at a campus organization. I haven't told Sarah, but he ended up meeting my parents by accident today. I don't have much contact with them, but they decided to come for a surprise visit. They live over 5 hours away and do this a few times a semester, even though I've said I don't like it. But that's for another post. John was in my room with me when they got here. I had no choice but to introduce them. He knows I was holding off on having them meet because I don't have the greatest relationship with them. Sarah lives at home with my parents while going to college locally. I'm certain they're going to mention meeting my boyfriend. And then cue her insisting on coming with them the next time they surprise visit me. Also stalking my social medias to try to figure out who he is. I've tried to explain the issues I have with her to my parents. They think I'm overreacting. They say she just wants to know what's going on in my life. To be involved. Yes, that is the problem. Her involvement. And, not to mention we used to be closer, before I lost trust in her to stop doing these things, so I've seen what her own life is like. She does things my parents have no idea of. She takes party substances sometimes. This wouldn't be a big deal, but she has no idea how to be responsible. She drives people around while drunk and high. My parents think she's with a friend studying on weekends, but she's actually clubbing in the city and then crashes with her friends for the night. I'm not sure how many real boyfriends she's had, but she's hooked up with a lot of guys the same night she met them. This has meant a few times she was scared of pregnancy. I've had to help her get Plan B. It sometimes feels like she sleeps with nearly any man that smiles at her, and told me she's even slept with a few girls while wasted. However, that's possible. She confides all these things to me. But whenever I need someone to talk to, she has no time. Never wants to hear anything unless she can save it as ammo. So, I've gradually stopped telling her most things. If my parents knew all this, they might see where I'm coming from. It's not just random that I don't want her meeting my boyfriend. It's not because I want to hurt her or something. The problem is, our parents are really strict and traditional, and they'd probably kick her out if I told them any of that. They don't believe in intercourse before marriage. My boyfriend is the first person I've been intimate with, and I'm afraid my sister could use that against me to them if she finds out. So what do I do? How can I keep Sarah from finding out about him and doing the same thing she's done with all my past boyfriends? How do I explain it to my parents? Now for the top advice before the update. Just prep your boyfriend and tell him all the stuff you just wrote here. If he knows ahead of time that she is likely to come on to him, then he can cut things off before it gets too far. Block her from seeing your friend list. It sucks that you have such a horrible sister, and that you have to hide your relationship from her. A small, probably irrational part of me is worried that would just be sealing my fate for this to happen again. But I know it's way more likely that with the heads up, he'd shut her down from the start, as you say. He doesn't seem like a type to cheat, but neither did my ex, as you know. I suppose I've got more in my favor to gain by explaining it to him, than by hiding it at least. I may block her. Problem is, Facebook and Insta is largely how I see what she's up to since we don't talk too often, plus if she realized I unfollowed or blocked her she'd flip out and need to know why. She'd flip out if you blocked her? For F's sakes, she slept with all of your boyfriends. To hell with this girl, man. Let her flip out. Also, why even have a relationship with your sister at all? If someone in my family had tried to seduce multiple love interests in my life through the years, they'd be done. Sibling or not. You can choose who you have a relationship with. Agreed. But what really pisses me off is the parents' reaction. She steals crushes, sleeps with 2 of OP's boyfriends, and tries to steal and then break up the third, and they freaking write it off as she's trying to get closer to her? Screw them. They sound like a-holes to me already, who either don't listen to what OP tells them, or don't give a damn. And now for the update. So, I've made a lot of changes in my family life since I posted this a couple weeks ago. I first told everything to my boyfriend. He was shocked and assured me he'd never cheat on me with my sister or anyone else. He also respected that I didn't want her to meet him. I decided to take the advice given and block her on social media. She immediately noticed, like within 10 minutes after I'd blocked her. She sent a text saying, "Did you block me on Instagram and Facebook?" So I didn't beat around the bush. I said yes, because I didn't like how she's messed with my personal relationships. She tried to guilt trip me about how I hadn't told her about my boyfriend, which means my parents must have told her about him like I knew they would. She exploded at me, because according to her, she would never have tried to stalk him or anything, but I hadn't even gotten a chance to say I was worried she'd do this. She said it first, so what does that say? I told her, I flat out didn't trust her to not try to take people from me. She called me psycho and selfish, but whatever really. I can't reason with her. She just never sees the problem with anything she's done. The way she thinks makes it like arguing with a young child almost. I blocked her number. I still feel kind of bad doing this because what if there was an emergency and she needed me? But we live hours apart, so I figure/hope my parents would be who she contacted in that case. Then, as for them, I also got a call from my mom soon after I blocked my sister, who wanted to know what I was doing because she was upset. She'd already heard my sister's side, which was just that I'd blocked her out of nowhere. So, I tried to tell her my side. I did not tell her my sister's personal business about illicit substances and having ex. Like I said in the first post, I'm not going to fall to petty revenge. I just want her to stop interfering in my life. So, all I said was that, in the past she's been inappropriate with guys I've dated and has spread rumors about me, and it made me unable to trust her. My mom then wanted to know what I meant by inappropriate. My parents are really conservative and don't believe in having ex before marriage. She also got my dad on the call at this point. I told them the details didn't matter. She kept trying to go back to this point, even wanting to know if I had been having premarital intimacy. It was really frustrating. I told them, the point I'm trying to make is that my sister has broken my trust. They began saying I should forgive her, because they care about our family and don't want to see us fighting. Well, I'm not exactly fighting. I'm simply not going to be in contact with her. To them it's the same thing. Then they wanted me to come home for a weekend to discuss everything as a family. I said I wasn't going to do that, that I'd made my decision, and have no time for a trip. They said they'd come to me then. That brought up how they show up for random visits even when I've said I don't like it. I told them I didn't want them doing that anymore, and if they did it again, I wouldn't let them in or talk with them. So they flipped out. That was fun. I got to hear all how I'm constantly making problems and don't care about my family. I ended up having to block their numbers because they kept calling back. And blocking on Facebook because they were sending messages going back and forth between begging to talk, and accusing me of being a terrible daughter and sister. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do about them. They did threaten to stop paying for my college if I cut them out of my life. I unblocked them to say I want to be in touch with them and do love them, but I can't do the unexpected visits, or them prying into my personal life. I said if they stop doing that then I'm happy to have a relationship with them. They had a million reasons why I'm in the wrong. I couldn't deal with it and re-blocked them yesterday. So, I don't know what my tuition deal is going to be now. My boyfriend at least has been really supportive during this nonsense. He thinks my parents are way out of line and my sister is crazy. He's really helped keep me as sane as I can be. Overall, I just feel really horrible. I wish any of them would ever listen to what I say. But if they won't, then what can I do besides put up with what you all pointed out was really controlling, or take more control back myself? It just sucks it has to be so. Final, I guess. I wouldn't mind a middle ground like planning a visit with them once in a while, or talking with my sister about non-personal things, but they want way more than I do. Now some closing comments. Geez, wonder where your sister gets it. Prepare for an extinction burst, they're probably going to show up at your place anyway. Yeah, I'm bracing for that honestly. Talk to your college's financial aid office and see about your options if your parents cut you off. Do it this week. Go to your financial aid office to discuss options, loans, grants, etc. Don't let them hold tuition over your head. It's manipulative. You have options you can look into. I did this when I was in college and my mom tried to use money to control me. I noticed they asked if you were having premarital relations, and didn't focus at all on her doing inappropriate things with your boyfriends. Quite a leap. You did well to block your sister. She'll never stop trying to take things away from you as she's jealous she's not the only daughter. Well, they did, but the details of that wasn't really the point. I didn't want them to get sidetracked on a crusade about her having intercourse, when my point was she's betrayed my trust. Then when I tried to redirect, they started asking about my own intimate life. Their obsession with your intimate life is gross. You're an adult and it's none of their business. Honestly, that's one reason I didn't want to straight up say she slept with them. If I give them one piece of information, then they'll want all of it. Now for the last story. My sister is having an affair with one of her patients, and I don't know whether I should report her, or let her fiancé know. My 19 female sister, 28 female, is a doctor. Been working in another hospital for 8 months. She's currently engaged and she'd visit my parents' house often lately, and we both would talk about a lot of things. Recently she's been talking about a guy that I never met before. She said she sees him at the hospital she works in, but later revealed that he is actually a patient of hers. I felt uneasy because she was showing me texts before deleting them. Also pictures, and she seemed to be in at least an emotional relationship with him. I was so worried, I got uncomfortable whenever she brought it up. I tried to avoid her, but she'd tell me I'm the only one she can talk to about this. I asked her about her fiancé, but she avoided my question several times. Her fiancé is a good man, at least we've known him for years since they started dating. I'm not sure if he already started noticing something was going on. I told her what she's doing was wrong and every time she'd berate me and tell me to just forget it. But then she'd come to me again wanting to talk about the guy she's seeing. I don't think anyone else knows about this besides me. I'm not sure if she talks to her girlfriends about it. And I wasn't sure how to react. It was too much pressure and I couldn't help but feel sad, especially when her fiancé visits and talks about the wedding with my mom. I've told my friend about this, and she told me my sister was violating the law and should be reported. I got to be honest, I freaked out, because this is huge and she could get in trouble. I thought about talking to her fiancé and letting him handle it maybe. I asked my boyfriend for his opinion. He first called my sister a piece of work, then told me to stay out of it. My heart feels heavy, I feel awful she's making me part of this now. It got out of control after she started using me as a cover, like how we both were going shopping when in fact she was somewhere else. Yesterday, she called me and asked me to text her fiancé, and tell him she was visiting us but she wasn't. I refused to lie and told her to stop it. She ended the call after yelling at me and berating me. What should I do? Should I report her, or just tell her fiancé and let him deal with it? Their wedding is in February and she doesn't seem to be doing anything about it. I have no idea whether she is seeing him outside of the hospital. However, she talks about him all the time and seems to be the one who started it, not the patient. Now for the top advice. Tell the fiancé and let him deal with it. Also, your sister is a piece of work. I'm a med student and it is properly drilled into your head that this is bad, because you're abusing a position of power over someone as they trust you a lot. She will definitely lose her license if the relationship started when he was a current patient, but she deserves that. But definitely tell the fiancé because he shouldn't be strung along. Yes, agree with this entire comment. I'm also a med student and she should absolutely be reported for this relationship, especially if she first met him as a patient. Even worse if your sister is a psychiatrist. However, as a sister who's very close to my siblings, I know it'll be hard telling her fiancé and stirring up trouble, that honestly, your sister made for herself. But he deserves to know what kind of person he might be tying himself to. And from your comment and post, it doesn't seem like she's a very good sister to you in the first place. Putting you in this situation and asking you to keep her disgusting secret, when you're so young and probably look up to her. Maybe you can do it in an anonymous way? Maybe through an email pretending to be a co-worker or something, I don't know. I wouldn't want her to give you trouble, even if she dug her own grave. But clearly, she doesn't care about you as much as she cares about herself, and might take you down with her, just because she thinks you betrayed her. She is definitely not supposed to be involved with a patient and she knows it. She could lose her license or whatever they give doctors. I am not an expert and even I know that. Has she had some sort of mental breakdown? Like, not being sarcastic here, she's risking her livelihood, as well as her future marriage for a patient she hasn't had time to know very long. Red flag, red flag. You need to stop the fiancé from making a mistake. Please give him evidence of the affair, and mention that she has used you for alibis. The job thing is tricky, but your sister should not be around patients. I would report her, but that's me. And that's it for this video, guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day everyone.